The story begins on the edge of a ruined world, a planet once teeming with life and advanced technology, now reduced to ashes and silence. The once proud Sulfurians, an alien species known for their wisdom and power, lie broken after their devastating defeat by the ruthless Drain Empire. A vast, smoldering landscape stretches before Lyraya, the last survivor of her kind. She stands amidst the ruins, clutching a glowing crystal, her only remaining possession from her family. This crystal holds a holographic image of her loved ones, now long gone, erased from existence by the cruel invaders. The once beautiful world is now dying, torn apart by relentless warfare. Broken buildings lie scattered across a charred ground, their structures blackened by explosions. Lyraya stares at the horizon, where the sky is filled with ash, falling like snow, mixing with her own tears. Every breath she takes feels heavy, as if the very air is saturated with loss. The stars she once admired now seem distant, unreachable, and the cold wind whispers memories of her fallen people. Her heart aches as she feels the weight of her grief. Everything she knew is gone, her family, her friends, her civilization. The Drain did this. Their empire of cold, emotionless machines destroyed her people in a relentless conquest. Lyraya was forced to flee as her world was ravaged, leaving her with nothing but this small, glowing relic and a promise of revenge. She drops to her knees, clutching the crystal tighter, vowing that she will never let the Drain's actions go unpunished. Her rage swells inside her like a storm, the desire for justice driving her forward. She will make them pay. Her kind, though small and scattered, was not yet defeated. Lyraya would ensure that the Drain would regret the day they decided to cross her people. Suddenly, the eerie silence of the desolate landscape is shattered by a deep hum, a sound that ripples through the air, vibrating with power. Lyraya's senses flare. Her sharp alien instincts tell her that something dangerous is near. Her head snaps to the sky, her eyes narrowing as she sees the dark shape of a Drain warship descending rapidly through the clouds. It's massive, dark, intimidating, and bristling with weapons. The enemy is here. They're hunting her. In that moment, panic almost overwhelms her, but she quickly forces it down. This isn't the first time the Drain have come for her, and it won't be the last. She must survive. Lyraya activates the cloaking device embedded in her suit, rendering her invisible to the naked eye. The warship looms closer, its guns scanning the surface for any signs of life. She holds her breath, praying that the cloaking will keep her hidden from their sight. Just as she begins to think that maybe, just maybe, she's escaped, a brilliant flash of light pierces the sky. A Drain orbital cannon fires, unleashing a massive beam of energy that rips through the air. Lyraya feels the heat from the blast even though she is miles away. Her heart races as she hears the hum of the cannon charging again, ready to fire. The planet is dying, but the Drain won't stop. Not until they find her. But then, something incredible happens. Another blast, this time, a smaller explosion, distracts the Drain warship. Lyraya's eyes widen in disbelief as a human fighter, a small, sleek ship, almost invisible against the background of the darkening sky, flies into view, narrowly dodging the orbital cannon's blast. The fighter twists and turns in midair, performing impossible maneuvers, showing remarkable agility. The ship cloaks, disappearing just in time to avoid another deadly shot. Lyraya watches in awe as the human fighter skillfully evades the Drain ship's weapons. This human pilot, whoever they are, has managed to survive a deadly battle with the Drain forces. The pilot's actions are quick and precise, a stark contrast to the calculated, cold strategies of the Drain. Lyraya feels a flicker of hope, something she hasn't felt in so long. Could this human be an ally? The fighter reappears, hovering in midair above the planet, and Lyraya can see the markings on the side of the ship, the word Starborn painted in bold letters. The ship's engines whine softly as it slows down, its cloaking device powering down to reveal the pilot. The human ship turns toward her location, heading directly for where Lyraya hides. Then, the transmission comes through, a voice crackling over the radio. The voice is calm, confident, and yet there's a hint of curiosity in the tone. Are you alone, or are there more of you? The voice, cool and composed, doesn't sound like a threat. It's merely an inquiry. The words hang in the air, heavy with meaning. Luriah hesitates. She knows the risk of revealing herself to a stranger, but something in her gut tells her that this human isn't like the Drain. They're not here to kill her. But there's also fear. Fear that this could be another trap. The Drain use humans as pawns in their war, turning them into mindless soldiers under their control. What if this human is working for the enemy? For a moment, Luriah is frozen, torn between the overwhelming urge to trust, and the harsh lessons of a life lived in the shadow of destruction. Her heart races, her mind clouds with conflicting emotions. The tension builds as she stares at the ship's silhouette against the burning sky. The Starborn hovers, waiting. The seconds stretch into what feels like an eternity. Finally, Luriah decides to answer. But before she speaks, the only sound is the distant hum of the Drain warship's engines, drawing closer. The question remains unanswered as the scene cuts to black, leaving the audience on edge. What will she say? Is this human friend or foe? The suspense is unbearable, and the story is only just beginning. The Starborn hovers silently in the air above the ruined landscape, the hum of its engines fading as it slows down. Luriah watches the human fighter with wary eyes, still unsure whether she can trust this stranger. She listens carefully to the voice that had asked the question, "Are you alone, or are there more of you?" There's something in the tone that suggests this human is not a typical soldier of the Drain. The ship's hull is sleek and dark, reflecting the fading light of the dying world below. As it descends, a burst of fire from the engines ignites the thick, ashen atmosphere. The ship lands roughly nearby, its metallic frame scraping against the jagged ground. The Starborn touches down with a thud, and from the cockpit, a human figure emerges. Captain Elias Carter steps out, his face grizzled and weathered, bearing the marks of many battles fought in the skies and on the ground. He's clad in the worn armor of humanity's military, covered with scratches and scorch marks from countless skirmishes with the Drain. His deep blue eyes scan the area quickly, taking in every detail, alert for any sign of danger. Luriah doesn't move, though her hand instinctively tightens around the glowing crystal she carries. She's heard of humans, of course, but seeing one in person, especially one still alive after so much destruction, is a shock. Elias notices her presence almost immediately. His hand instinctively goes to the sidearm holstered at his waist. His eyes narrow as he studies her, her alien features, her dark blue skin, her glowing eyes. He knows she's not human, but he can't tell whether she's friend or foe. Elias takes a few cautious steps forward, his voice gravelly from years of war. "I'm not here to hurt you," he says, his eyes scanning her, trying to gauge her intentions. "I just need to know if you're an ally or if I'm about to die." Luriah doesn't respond at first, the weight of her grief still heavy on her shoulders. She's faced betrayal before, and her kind has been hunted by the Drain for years. Trusting anyone, even a human, seems impossible. But as she studies him, she sees a spark of something, survival, maybe. His posture doesn't seem like that of a soldier bent on conquest. Instead, it speaks of someone who has been forced to fight, to survive. His eyes, though wary, show no sign of malice. Finally, she speaks, her voice cold but firm, "I don't trust you. But I don't trust the Drain more." Elias nods, understanding. He's been fighting the Drain for years, and he knows that sometimes, survival means making deals with people you'd never normally trust. He's been in worse situations, fighting alongside enemies and strangers just to stay alive. With the Drain Empire closing in on both of them, he has no choice. "Fair enough," Elias says, adjusting his weapon belt. "I need help." "We both do." Luriah looks him over for a long moment. There's something raw in his eyes, something that matches the exhaustion she feels. She can tell he's been fighting for a long time, and while he's not her ally yet, he's a survivor, just like her. She sighs, knowing that she cannot defeat the Drain alone. The warships are too advanced, the force is too strong. She needs him, just as much as he needs her. Temporary, she finally mutters, barely audible. This is a temporary alliance. I don't trust humans, and I'm not dying for you. Elias chuckles grimly, a dry sound. I wasn't planning on dying either. But we're both still here for a reason. And so, their uneasy alliance is formed. As they begin to move, Lariah leads Elias deeper into the planet's crumbling ruins, towards the last of her people's hidden technology. The planet's surface is charred, remnants of past battles scattered in every direction. Broken buildings and scorched forests create an eerie silence, the remnants of a once thriving civilization now reduced to rubble. Sci-fi elements. They work together, trying to stay out of sight. Lariah uses her Ziltherian technology to cloak their movements. She activates a small device embedded in her armor, a shimmering field of energy that wraps around them, making them nearly invisible to any sensors. Elias watches in awe as their surroundings seem to melt away, the world becoming distorted around them. The cloaking device is unlike anything he's seen before. His own military technology doesn't have anything this advanced. That's impressive, Elias says, his voice tinged with a mix of amazement and wariness. How does it work? Lariah's expression is unreadable as she leads the way. It's a basic cloaking field. My people used it to hide from the Drain's detection systems. It won't last forever, though. They'll figure it out soon enough. Elias nods, understanding the urgency. We need to move fast then. Drain AI can track any anomaly. If they don't find us now, they'll find us soon. As they travel, the tension between them grows. They're both survivors, but they're also complete strangers, with nothing in common but their need to stay alive. The silence between them is thick, and Elias can feel the weight of Lariah's distrust. He doesn't blame her. He's been burned by people before, and trust doesn't come easy in times like these. But as the day wears on, the need for survival outweighs their differences. They begin to work in sync. Elias uses his human ingenuity to disable a Drain sensor tower while Lariah deploys her cloaking tech to keep them hidden from the enemy's sight. They manage to stay out of Drain radar for the time being, but every time they stop, the threat of being discovered looms. We make a good team, Elias says, a hint of a smile breaking through his usual gruffness. Lariah glances at him, her expression still distant, but there's a flicker of something. Maybe. The journey continues, and despite the tension, their combined skills make them an effective force against the Drain's superior technology. The more time they spend together, the more Elias realizes that this alien isn't just a cold, emotionless survivor. She's driven by something deeper. A desire for revenge, yes, but also a longing for connection. She's not as different from him as he once thought. As they move forward, the alliance between the human and the alien becomes less reluctant and more necessary. They may not trust each other completely yet, but they both know that their survival depends on one another. In a world that has been torn apart by war, even the most unlikely of alliances can turn the tide. The Drain are still out there, hunting them down, but for now, Elias and Lariah have each other. And that may be enough to give them a fighting chance. The air is thick with tension as Lariah and Elias move through the ruins of the shattered city. The once gleaming structures of her Ziltherian homeworld are now nothing more than twisted metal and crumbling stone, the remnants of an empire lost to war. Their destination is an underground resistance base, a place where the last of the Ziltherian survivors have gathered to fight back against the Drain Empire. But every step they take is fraught with danger. The Drain forces are everywhere, and it's only a matter of time before they're spotted. Lariah's hand hovers over the small cloaking device on her wrist, her mind racing. The device has worked well so far, allowing them to remain undetected by drain sensors, but she can feel it faltering. A low hum vibrates in the air as the device glitches, flickering on and off. "It's malfunctioning," Lariah says in a tense voice, her eyes scanning the area around them. She's too aware of the danger they're in. "We need to move faster." Elias looks at her, his eyes narrowed. "How much time do we have before they see us?" "Not much," she answers, her voice strained. "We're exposed." Without warning, a loud crack cuts through the silence. The unmistakable sound of a Drain scout patrol. 2 Drain soldiers appear from behind a ruined wall, their sleek armor glinting under the pale light. Their weapons are raised, and within seconds, more Drain reinforcements emerge from the shadows. The ambush is swift, and there's no time to hide. Lariah reacts immediately, reaching for her energy blade. She ignites the glowing weapon with a hiss, preparing for battle. Elias, moving with lightning speed, draws his own sidearm, his eyes scanning for an opening. But as the cloaking device continues to flicker, they know they are vulnerable. The element of surprise is gone. The first Drain soldier fires, the crack of energy blasts cutting through the air. Lariah dodges, her agility enhanced by her Zoltherian reflexes, but she is not used to the unpredictability of human-style combat. Elias is already in motion, flipping to the side, his feet barely touching the ground as he rolls behind a broken pillar for cover. "Stay low." Elias shouts, his voice sharp with command. He pops out from behind cover, firing a rapid burst of rounds that forces the Drain to take cover. The human moves like a shadow, fluid and quick, using the remnants of Earth's military tech to his advantage, advanced targeting systems, tactical grenades, and a mixture of martial arts that leaves the Drain struggling to adapt. Lariah watches him with a mix of awe and frustration. She's faced countless opponents in battle, but the sheer unpredictability of Elias's movements throws her off. His tactics are a blend of improvisation and raw instinct, something she's never encountered before. Every time she anticipates one move, he does something entirely different, and it confuses her. She slashes at one of the Drain soldiers, her blade cutting through their armor, but she can see the faint signs of hesitation in their movements. They are not prepared for the chaos that human tactics bring to the battlefield. As the firefight intensifies, Lariah and Elias manage to take down several Drain soldiers. But then, in the heat of the battle, she sees him, a familiar face among the enemy ranks. It's Bonner, a fellow Zoltherian soldier and one of the few surviving members of her people's elite fighting force. He's charging at the Drain, taking on multiple enemies at once, but as he moves forward, a blast from a Drain war cannon hits him square in the chest. The explosion sends him flying, his body crashing to the ground with a sickening thud. "No!" Lariah screams, rushing towards him. Her heart races, the pain of loss hitting her like a physical blow. Bonner was one of the last connections she had to her people, and now he's gone, taken by the enemy. She kneels beside him, feeling for a pulse, but it's too late. He's already dead. The world seems to freeze around her as she looks at his lifeless body. For a moment, she's paralyzed with grief, the weight of the loss threatening to overwhelm her. She had always believed that Zoltherians were superior, that they were invincible. But in that moment, the harsh reality of war hits her like a tidal wave. "Lariah." Elias's voice cuts through her thoughts, urgent and frantic. "We have to move. Now." Lariah blinks, shaking off the shock, and stands quickly. She can't afford to stay in one place, not now. The Drain are closing in, and if they don't get out of there, they'll both die. Her grief is buried beneath a layer of resolve. She reaches down, grabs her weapon, and nods. "Let's finish this." The remaining Drain soldiers fall back, clearly realizing they are outmatched. With Elias's help, Lariah fights her way through the last few of them, the sound of blaster fire ringing in her ears. Together, they make their way to a nearby escape route, a tunnel hidden beneath the ruins. As they make their way through the darkness, Laria's thoughts are consumed by the loss of Bonner. But there is something else gnawing at her, a realization that she's been fighting for a cause that no longer feels as clear-cut as it once did. She'd been taught that her kind, the Zoltherians, were the pinnacle of civilization, the ultimate species destined to rule the galaxy. But Bonner's death, along with the unexpected bravery and resourcefulness of Elias, has started to shift her perspective. She looks at Elias as they move through the dark tunnel, and for the first time, she sees him not as a human, but as a fellow fighter, a survivor, just like her. He's lost so much, just like she has. He's not the enemy. He's just someone trying to stay alive, and in that, she realizes they have more in common than she ever imagined. "Thank you," Laria says quietly, her voice softer than before. "You didn't have to stay." Elias glances at her, his expression unreadable, but his words are steady. "I know what it's like to lose people." Laria nods, understanding all too well. The battle may have been won, but the war is far from over. She's no longer just fighting for revenge. She's fighting for survival, her own, Elias's, and maybe even the future of a galaxy that's been torn apart by war. And for the first time in a long while, she feels that maybe, just maybe, she's found an ally in the most unlikely of places. The moon they land on is barren, its surface scarred by countless years of bombardment. It's the perfect place for a hidden drain base, a place where secrets can be buried deep under layers of rock and dust. Elias and Laria make their way across the desolate landscape, their eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of movement. The underground base is well hidden, but their goal is clear: sabotage the construction of an AI-controlled weapon that could wipe out entire fleets of resistance ships. If the drain finish it, humanity's chances of survival will be destroyed. "We're close," Elias says, his voice low as they crouch behind a ridge, watching the entrance to the base from a distance. He taps a small device on his wrist, signaling the cloaking system to activate, rendering them invisible to any sensors. "This is it, Laria. We destroy the weapon, and we destroy their hope of victory." Laria nods, her mind already focused on the mission. She tightens her grip on her weapon and leads the way down into a nearby ravine. As they approach the entrance, they can see the base's outer defenses, laser turrets, sentry drones, and other security measures designed to keep intruders out. They'll need to move carefully, using every bit of their skill to slip past unnoticed. The tension between them is palpable as they make their way through the base. They move like shadows, blending into the walls, their every step calculated and deliberate. The base is a maze of corridors and rooms, and the deeper they go, the more dangerous it becomes. The drain are here, but there's something else that makes Elias uneasy: the presence of humans. "I don't like this," Elias mutters under his breath, scanning the corridor ahead. "It's too quiet." Laria's sharp eyes catch a movement at the end of the hall. "We're not alone," she whispers, her hand instinctively going to her blade. They sneak around the corner, only to come face to face with a group of human soldiers, resistance fighters, or so they appear. But something feels off. The soldiers don't react with surprise or alarm. They simply stand there, their eyes cold and unreadable. Elias's heart races. This isn't right. Before they can react, a voice calls out from the shadows. "You're not supposed to be here." It's General Holt, the leader of the human resistance. Elias's blood runs cold. He's heard of Holt before, one of the most trusted leaders of humanity's fight against the drain. But something about his voice, the way he stands so calmly in the midst of the danger, doesn't sit right. "General Holt?" Elias asks, trying to hide his growing suspicion. "What's going on?" "We're here to stop the weapon." Holt smiles, but there's no warmth in it. "I know what you're here for, Elias. But you're too late." Laria steps forward, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" In that moment, the truth crashes down on them like a tidal wave. General Holt, the man they've been fighting alongside, the man they've trusted, has been secretly collaborating with the drain. His plan? To trade Earth's survival for the destruction of the Resistance. You sold us out. Elias's voice is hoarse with disbelief, his mind struggling to comprehend what he's hearing. How could you betray us? Holt's face hardens. It's not a betrayal. It's survival. If Earth is to stand any chance against the Drain, we must accept the inevitable. The Drain will win, and they know how to make a deal. I made sure humanity would be spared, even if it meant betraying the Resistance. The realization stabs Elias like a knife. All the years of sacrifice, all the battles fought, and now they discover that the man leading them was never truly on their side. Holt's selfishness and desire to save his own people at any cost have led him to make an unthinkable choice, one that has doomed them all. You'll never get away with this, Elias growls, stepping forward. The Drain will never honor their end of the bargain. You're as good as dead. But Holt doesn't flinch. I've already made my peace. Now, you'll make yours. The tension explodes as Holt gives a signal, and the human soldiers turn their weapons on Elias and Lariah. Gunfire erupts, and the two of them are forced to take cover, dodging blaster bolts as they return fire. It's a fight they never expected, a battle against those they thought were allies. We need to stop him, Lariah says, her voice low as she takes out a soldier with a quick strike. He's the one who can activate the weapon. If we don't stop him now, it's over. Elias nods grimly. He's torn, his heart is heavy with betrayal, but he knows what needs to be done. They can't let Holt succeed. They can't let him destroy everything they've fought for. The battle reaches a fever pitch as they charge towards Holt. The base seems to tremble around them, the walls groaning under the pressure of the fighting. Elias and Lariah fight side by side, their bond stronger than ever as they push forward. Holt is close now, just a few steps away, his hand hovering over a control panel that will trigger the weapon. No! Elias shouts, lunging forward to tackle Holt. They crash to the ground, and a brutal fight ensues. Elias lands a punch, but Holt is stronger than he expected. With a desperate move, Elias kicks the control panel out of Holt's reach, and Lariah quickly smashes it, rendering the weapon inoperable. But the victory is short-lived. The base begins to shake violently, alarms blaring as a massive orbital bombardment begins. The Drain are launching their final attack. The base is collapsing, and there's no time to waste. Lariah's heart races as she activates the cloaking device, using her advanced Soltherian tech to shield them from the bombardment long enough for them to escape. The crumbling base rumbles around them as they flee, the explosions rocking the ground beneath their feet. We need to go now. Lariah urges, pulling Elias forward. Together, they sprint through the chaos, just narrowly escaping the destruction as the base collapses into ruin behind them. As they emerge into the safety of the moon's surface, breathless and covered in dust, Elias looks at Lariah, his face grim. We lost the base, but we stopped the weapon. Lariah nods. And we stopped the traitor. But the cost is high. The war is far from over, and now they must deal with the consequences of betrayal, and the looming threat of the Drain Empire. The silence between Elias and Lariah is deafening as they stare at the screen displaying the horrifying news, the Omniclash Protocol. It's an AI-driven plan created by the Drain, a weapon so advanced and deadly that it could wipe out humanity and any other alien races in its path. The sheer scale of the threat is enough to make even the most seasoned warriors hesitate. The screen flickers, revealing an endless fleet of Drain ships, all controlled by the AI, and each capable of mass destruction. We have to stop this, Elias says, his voice tight with urgency. If we don't, it's not just Earth, it's every race in the galaxy. Lariah's face hardens as she watches the fleet. Her hand clenches around her weapon, but inside, a storm rages. She had already lost everything once before. The destruction of her people, the fall of her home planet, and the loss of every future she had ever imagined. She never thought she'd fight beside a human, let alone trust one. But here she is, racing against time to stop an AI that could bring about the end of everything. It can't happen again, she whispers to herself, as much to reassure herself as to give Elias a sense of the magnitude of what's at stake. The Omniclash Protocol, Elias mutters. The Drain are willing to risk everything. All that power, all that destruction, just to destroy anyone who stands against them. And we're the only ones who can stop it. Lariah nods, her mind whirling with thoughts of strategy. I know the Drain's tactics. But this AI is unlike anything we've faced. We'll need more than just weapons to defeat it. We'll need to outsmart it. The thought of going up against something so far beyond them, an AI with complete control of a fleet of ships, seems impossible. But for Lariah and Elias, there is no choice. The fate of their worlds rests on their shoulders. The tension grows thicker with each passing minute as they prepare for their final assault. They are alone. The resistance is scattered, broken, and there is no backup. Just the two of them against a seemingly unstoppable force. We can do this, Elias says, though even he doesn't fully believe it. But he's not going to give up. Not now. But as the hours pass, Lariah begins to feel the weight of their mission. What if we fail, she asks quietly, her eyes dark with the burden of the truth. What if we're the last ones left, and we can't stop it? The question hangs between them, raw and heavy. Elias looks at her, a mixture of understanding and determination in his eyes. Then we die trying, he says firmly. We fight until the end. That's all we can do. If we give up now, it's over. But if we keep fighting, maybe we'll give humanity and every other race a chance. Lariah considers his words for a long moment. In her past, she had learned not to trust anyone. Her people had been betrayed, and she had lost everything. She had closed herself off, hardened her heart, and decided never to depend on anyone again. But now, standing here with Elias, she realizes something that she hadn't admitted even to herself: she's learned to trust him. As they prepare to embark on the final mission, Lariah pulls Elias aside. She hesitates before speaking. There's something I need to tell you, she says softly, her voice barely above a whisper. When the Drain destroyed my world, I was the last of my kind. My people, my family, are all gone. I trusted them, I loved them, and they died. I couldn't bear the thought of losing anyone else. I didn't want to let myself trust you. But now. She trails off, unable to finish her sentence, and Elias stands silently, listening. His face softens as he sees the vulnerability in her, something she rarely shows. You're not alone, he says quietly. I lost my family too. When the Drain attacked Earth, my wife, my daughter, they were taken. I've been fighting ever since, trying to avenge them, trying to protect whatever's left. I never thought I'd be standing here, fighting beside you, someone from a race I once thought would destroy us. But we're here, and we're in this together. For the first time, they truly see each other, not as allies with a common goal, but as two souls carrying the weight of loss, of pain, and of sacrifice. It's a moment of understanding, of connection that neither of them had expected. They are no longer just a human and an alien fighting to survive, they are two survivors, clinging to the hope that they can make a difference. We'll stop the Omniclash Protocol, Lariah says, her voice stronger now, her resolve steeling itself. We'll make sure the Drain never have the chance to destroy anyone else again. Elias nods, his eyes burning with determination. Let's end this. For all of us. With the final plan in place, they board a stolen Drain ship, cloaking it as they approach the heart of the AI's control system. The ship is a massive fortress, hidden deep in the heart of Drain space, surrounded by an entire fleet. The odds are impossible. Their chances of success are minimal, but they have no other choice. It's their last hope. As they enter the atmosphere of the AI's base, the ship shakes violently. The closer they get to their destination, the more the gravity of their task sinks in. They're not just fighting for survival, they're fighting for the future. This is it, Elias says as they prepare to breach the control room. No turning back. Lariah glances at him one last time, her face set in grim determination. Let's finish this. The door to the control room opens, revealing the AI's core, a massive, glowing structure, humming with energy. Their mission is clear: destroy the core, disable the AI, and end the Omniclash protocol. As they step forward, Lariah and Elias know that they may never make it out alive. But they will fight with everything they have. In this final moment, they understand one simple truth: the fight may be hopeless, but as long as they keep fighting, they are not alone. Together, they are the last hope of the galaxy. The sound of clashing metal and the hum of energy weapons fills the air as Lariah and Elias press forward through the Drain flagship. This enormous, AI-controlled warship is a fortress, and every corridor, every room is a new battleground. Waves of robotic drones and Drain soldiers swarm to stop them, but Lariah and Elias are ready for the challenge. With each battle, the tension builds, and the stakes become higher. Elias moves quickly, his military training kicking in as he works with brutal precision to disable drones and clear the way. He's a master of hand-to-hand combat, but his true strength lies in his ability to think on his feet, adapting quickly to the changing situation. Every time they're cornered, he finds a way out, using the environment and his quick reflexes to gain the upper hand. Lariah, though not accustomed to human combat tactics, fights with fierce determination. Her Zotherian abilities give her an edge, from enhanced strength to faster reflexes, but it's her strategic thinking that makes her an invaluable ally. Together, they make a formidable team. As they push deeper into the heart of the warship, the gravity of their mission begins to sink in. The Drain AI is not just any machine, it is the brain controlling an entire fleet of ships, capable of wiping out the last remnants of the Resistance. They can't afford to fail. The Resistance fleets, what's left of them, are depending on them. As the ship's alarms blare, Elias and Lariah know time is running out. We're close, Elias says, his voice tight with concentration. Just a little further, and we'll have access to the control room. Lariah nods, her eyes scanning the hallway ahead. They've already fought their way through a dozen different corridors, each one more heavily guarded than the last. Their cloaking devices, Lariah's Zotherian tech and Elias's makeshift human version, have kept them one step ahead, but now they've reached the ship's heart. The control room is within reach, but getting there won't be easy. The ship's AI has anticipated their every move, and it's throwing everything it has at them. Suddenly, the entire ship shakes, and the walls tremble as a deafening explosion echoes through the hull. They're firing on the Resistance fleets. Elias yells, his eyes wide with horror. We don't have much time. The Drain warship is starting its orbital bombardment, firing massive energy beams at the last remaining fleets of Resistance ships. The enemy knows that if the Resistance holds out much longer, the Drain will lose control of the galaxy. But Elias and Lariah are ready. They have one shot to stop the AI from controlling the ship and annihilating the fleet. We need to reach the control room now. Lariah commands, and with renewed urgency, they charge forward. They've come this far, and there is no turning back. As they approach the control room, a final wave of defenders rushes to intercept them. But Elias and Lariah are faster, more determined than ever. Elias's guns roar as he takes down drones, while Lariah uses her powerful alien abilities to disarm and disable soldiers. The air is thick with smoke and energy blasts, but they fight through it all, never slowing down, driven by the knowledge that the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. The moment they reach the control room doors, they blast through them. Inside, the AI core is a massive, glowing structure surrounded by holographic interfaces and energy shields. This is it, Elias says, his voice filled with a grim resolve. We need to destroy the core before it can fire again. But the moment they step inside, the AI's defense system activates. A swarm of drones materializes, and an energy shield surrounds the core, preventing any direct attack. The two are immediately surrounded, and for a moment, it seems like all hope is lost. But Lariah isn't backing down. "I have an idea," she says, eyes flashing with determination. She reaches into her pack and pulls out the luminal shard, a mysterious and powerful artifact she found earlier. It pulses with energy, and Lariah knows that it can disable the AI's control over the ship. "This should do the trick," she mutters, stepping forward with the shard in hand. But as she moves closer, the AI launches a series of countermeasures, energy blasts and automated drones attempting to stop her. Elias leaps into action, his gun blazing as he takes out several drones, buying Lariah enough time to reach the core. She holds the luminal shard above her head, and with a deep breath, she thrusts it into the AI's central control hub. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, a shockwave of energy pulses through the room, and the AI's defenses begin to flicker and fail. The drones fall silent. The shield surrounding the core shatters into a million pieces. "It's working!" Elias shouts, but there's no time to celebrate. They have to finish this. With one final push, Lariah and Elias destroy the core. The ship shudders violently as the AI loses control, and its massive energy beams begin to destabilize. The warship, once an unstoppable force of destruction, begins to crumble, its systems collapsing under the pressure. "We need to get out of here," Elias yells, grabbing Lariah's arm as the room shakes violently. They rush toward the exit, the ship's walls cracking and splintering around them. Explosions echo through the halls as the warship begins to fall apart, collapsing in on itself. Lariah and Elias don't look back. They know they have to escape, or they'll be caught in the destruction. As they race through the ship's corridors, the final sequence of the battle begins. The warship's demise is nothing short of cinematic, fireballs erupt from its hull, and the ship's massive form collapses into space in a fiery explosion, its death throes visible from miles away. The energy pulses of the AI's final explosion ripple through the surrounding space as the Drain flagship meets its fiery end. Outside, the Resistance fleets cheer as the threat is finally neutralized. The Drain's once unstoppable weapon has been destroyed, and the last hope for the galaxy is no longer a dream but a reality. "We did it," Elias says, his voice filled with relief and disbelief. Lariah glances at him, a small, tired smile on her face. "We did," she agrees. "Together. The battle is won, but the war is far from over. But for now, at least, they can rest, knowing that their fight has given hope to the galaxy once more." The remnants of the Drain fleet float in the distance, defeated and broken, as the shattered pieces of their once mighty warships drift through the void. The final battle has ended, and the Omniclash Protocol, Drain's ultimate weapon to exterminate humanity and other alien races, has been destroyed. The Resistance has won, but the victory is bittersweet. Among the wreckage, the survivors of the Resistance forces begin to gather, and the scene is one of quiet triumph. Elias and Lariah stand side by side, surrounded by the diverse coalition of races that they fought so hard to unite. Humans, Zilfirians, and other alien species stand together, looking toward a future free of the Drain's tyranny. "We did it," Elias says quietly, his voice thick with exhaustion. He's been injured in the final battle, his body battered from the fight, but the light of victory shines through his eyes. Despite the pain, there's something more important now, a sense of accomplishment and the realization that they've achieved something extraordinary. Lariah, still holding her glowing crystal from her fallen family, stands next to him. She looks out at the gathered forces, her heart swelling with pride. She had never believed that a human could be her ally, let alone someone she could trust with her very life. But over the course of their journey, she learned not just about Elias's strength as a warrior but also about the strength of humanity itself, its ability to endure, to fight for what's right, and to bring about change. "We did," Lariah echoes, her voice soft but steady. "Together. The bond they share is one that no one expected. It began in the midst of survival, of necessity, but it has grown into something more, something deeply meaningful. Lariah never imagined that love could bloom between her and a human, especially after the destruction of her people. She had believed that love was a luxury no one in this war could afford. But now, standing beside Elias, she realizes how much they have both changed. Elias's injuries are severe, but with the help of the medical teams from the surviving fleets, he begins to heal. As Lariah stays by his side, tending to him and offering her support, their relationship evolves into something neither of them had expected. She learns to let her guard down, trusting him with the vulnerability she's spent so many years protecting. In turn, Elias opens up, sharing the loss of his own family during the Drain conquest of Earth. Their shared grief and experiences forge a deep connection between them, and in the quiet moments they share, there is a growing sense of peace. As the days pass, the surviving forces begin to rebuild. The destruction of the Drain fleet means that the galaxy has been given a chance to heal, but the scars of war are deep. It will take time, effort, and a collective will to rebuild what was lost, but there is hope now, a hope that wasn't there before. Lariah and Elias take on leadership roles in the new galactic resistance, guiding the various races in their efforts to restore peace. They are a symbol of unity, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is strength in coming together. One evening, after a long day of planning and organizing, Lariah and Elias find themselves standing on the observation deck of the Resistance's new headquarters. The stars twinkle in the sky above them, their light now a symbol of the future they are working to build. Elias, still wearing his battle-worn armor, stands beside her, his arm around her shoulders. "Do you think we can really do it?" Elias asks quietly, his gaze fixed on the stars. There is a lingering doubt in his voice, a weight of responsibility that he can't shake. After all, the war is over, but the journey is far from finished. Lariah smiles, a soft, reassuring smile that reaches her eyes. "Yes," she says confidently. "Together, we can do anything." They stand in silence, the noise of the bustling headquarters fading into the background. It's a rare moment of peace, and in it, there is an unspoken understanding between them. The future is uncertain, and the challenges they face are enormous, but for the first time in a long time, they can see a path forward. A future where the mistakes of the past are acknowledged, where the pain of loss is healed, and where love and unity can guide them towards something better. The stars above them shine bright, reflecting the hope that now burns in their hearts. As they look out at the vastness of the galaxy, they know their fight isn't over. There will be new battles, new challenges to face, and new enemies to confront. But this time, they will face it all together. They will lead the galaxy toward a new beginning. "We've come a long way," Elias murmurs, his voice tinged with exhaustion but also a quiet joy. "But I think we're ready for whatever comes next." Lariah nods, her hand finding his, a silent promise passing between them. "Yes. We are." And as they stand there, under the stars, the first rays of dawn begin to break on the horizon. It's a new day, a new beginning. The camera pulls away slowly, the scene fading into a vast starry sky. The journey has been long, but this is only the beginning. A new era is dawning, one where the strength of unity and the power of love will guide the galaxy into a brighter future. The end. This ending encapsulates everything that the story has built up to: an underdog victory, emotional growth, and the promise of a better future. It leaves the audience with a sense of closure but also hints at future challenges, keeping them invested in the character's journey beyond the screen.